seated. We're going to call the meeting to order here. I want to welcome everybody to the Elk Grove Unified School District Board of Education meeting. I trust you all had a nice, Happy New Year. Today, we did meet in closed session today and no action was taken. Today's meeting is being video recorded and will be available on the district YouTube channel. Blue cards available to the tables outside the boardroom if anyone wishes to address the board. If you wish to address the board, complete the card and hand it to the staff to my right. And please be sure and indicate the matter you want addressed on the agenda. If the matter is on the agenda, we will assume you will wish to speak when it comes time to address the item, and we will hold cards until then. Speaking of the blue cards, I would like them up right away if you want to talk or speak, so we don't hold them out. We'll know how many we have up here. Okay, with that, we have the Pledge of Allegiance. I'd like to call on Samuel Jackman Middle School to come up with the principal and Miss Valentiera and the kids. Okay. Samuel Jackman Middle School is honored to recognize Cecilia Valentiera as our educational partner today. All four of her children have attended Samuel Jackman over a 12-year period. Her son, Alejandro, is currently attending seminary college in Oregon and plans to become a priest. Her oldest daughter, Leslie, attends St. Francis High School, and her daughters, Evelyn and Jacqueline, currently attend Samuel Jackman, which are here tonight. Mrs. Valentiera moved to the United States from Mexico at the age of 18. She previously worked in a bakery. She still makes and sells cakes today. Her daughters love to help her with her baking. Mrs. Valentiera is extremely proud of her children, and she never misses an event where they are receiving an award. Mrs. Valentiera is a constant face on the Samuel Jackman campus. She is involved with our PTO, regularly attends our monthly Montes Latinas de Jackman meetings, recently completed a 6-week family leadership academy, attends our English Learner Advisory Committee meetings, joins her daughters for Bring Your Parent to Lunch Day, attend the annual English Learners Community Gathering, and help serve lunch to staff during our Staff Appreciation Week. Samuel Jackman Middle School is honored to have Cecilia Valentiera and the family represent us here tonight. So with that, we'll have the pledge. If everybody could stand and remove caps.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Mr. Thompson.
Would you like to say anything while he comes down? Anything else?
Well, I would like to say thank you, the El Grove District, for all the help, for all the families, especially for mine. Thank you so much, and thank you, Mr. Anderson, for this opportunity to be here. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
I just want to say it's an honor, Ms. Valentier. I've seen her children from Charles Mack when she was there, and she's been involved with our district for a good while. So it's just a pleasure to see you again. Okay, we have our high school representatives. I'd like to call on Elk Grove Charter School.
Good evening, President Madison, members of the board, Superintendent Hoffman, and Ms. Avalosa. We are representatives from Elk Grove Charter Leadership Group. I am Brianna.
Can you get a little closer to the mic, all of you, just so we can make sure everyone hears you?
Want me to restart?
My name is Oscar Infante.
And I'm Gavin Rainey.
And we're here today to share our school events and achievements of the 2018-2019 school year.
On January 31st, we will be recognizing over 75 of our students for their amazing academics and outstanding work shown throughout the first semester. These students will be getting awards like perfect attendance, honor roll, and much more. These students being recognized have worked extremely hard this past semester and have been able to maintain great grades while balancing their personal and social lives.
Elk Grove Charter doesn't just stop at the school. We see the community we're in and do everything we can to help. That's why we have our community pickup, where every semester we give students an opportunity to gain community service hours while helping the environment around us. Along with that, we have managed to help not just our community, but others in need. Recently, we sent 9 Friday Night Live students to help and welcome back the students who were affected by the campfire return to school. We also managed to raise over 300 pairs of socks for the homeless youth for the winter season through a sock drive. Our canned food drive was also a huge success this year. We were able to collect over 400 cans for families in need over the holiday season.
One of the many clubs we are proud about at Elk Grove Charter School is FNL. FNL stands for Friday Night Live. Ironically enough, they meet every Tuesday for an hour. Within the hour they have once a week, they have been able to accomplish many amazing things. They hosted a Red Ribbon Week and an alcohol awareness. They held a cigarette butt pickup where we went around the community, our community and local stores, and found hundreds of cigarette butts lying everywhere. With them doing that, they were able to contact the local store owners and are working on putting up community signs to hopefully lower that number. Throughout this club, several of our students have developed leadership skills that focus on positive and healthy development and engage several of our students at EGCS and surrounding communities.
With all the amazing things that happen with our school, we are able to go on equally amazing field trips. The photo class has gone on several field trips that include places like downtown Sacramento and Folsom to have an opportunity to get the perfect photo and show off their creative skills. We were also lucky enough to be able to take all of our seniors on a trip to Moaning Caverns, where they were able to zip line, explore the cavern, and hang out with each other while enjoying lunch. All of our 7th graders are looking forward to their field trip to Yosemite in April, where they will be able to spend a week exploring the outdoors through hikes and guided tours, all while learning everything they need to know about Yosemite.
With all that said, we would like to recognize 2 very successful students who are accomplishing their dreams. These students are senior athletes who are currently trying out for the under 20 national soccer team, and we can't wait to see if they make it. Their future goal is to one day make the national USA soccer team and represent our country in the World Cup.
Thank you for allowing us to share out all the amazing things we have going on at Elk Grove Charter School. And we sincerely invite each and every one of you to come anytime to see firsthand how awesome our school truly is. Thank you.
Thank you.
Go Falcons!
Okay, Monterey Trail, please come.
Good evening, Board President Madison, members of the board, Superintendent Hoffman, and Ms. Avalos. Happy New Year. My name is Timur Ali.
And I am Javen Nonka, and we are members of the senior class from Monterey Trail High School. Go Mustangs! Let's begin with academics. We had our first academic award ceremony on October 15th, where many students were honored for their exemplary academic achievements. We had 380 students qualify for an award this term, and we would also like to acknowledge one of our data students, Ryan Lee, who entered into the Congressional App Challenge last summer. His app has been chosen by Army Bear's office, making his app eligible to be displayed in the United States Capitol and featured on the House of Representatives website. In addition, Ryan Lee will also be recognized by Ami Bera himself. Also, at the beginning of February, we'll be hosting our second Renaissance of the year. Lastly, Monterey Trail has been recently recognized as one of the top high schools in Sacramento County, sending graduates to the University of California system. Proud to be a Mustang.
Moving on to our Unity events, MT hosted the first Unity Day of the year on November 15th. We had 125 students and staff participate. Our next Unity Day is scheduled for February 21st. Before going off winter break, we wanted to send off our staff with a treat, so we decided to throw them a staff appreciation potluck. Boy, oh boy, the teachers can't eat. With the tragic event happening in Paradise, Monterey Trail decided to do a donation drive where we collected donations in order to help as much as we could to put them back on their feet. Another donation process that we do yearly is our Kids Cans Drive, where we donate cans for the less fortunate, and this year we donated over 1,000 cans. In addition to these drives, our students in the last couple of months have knitted amazing beanies for the Caps for Cause event. This year, the staff and student body are accepting weekly character dares as a way to better ourselves and our school culture. We dare all the members of the board to take on this week's dare with us. This week's character dare is patience breeds patience. When you see others around you becoming frustrated with a situation, encourage them to slow down and take a breath with you to diffuse their emotions. Hashtag MT Dare to Care. This Thursday, we are hosting our open house showcase.
Our showcase is so much more than a traditional open house. Not only do we feature all the great stuff going on every day on the trail, but we invite all of our feeder elementary schools and our feeder middle school. This year, we are excited to once again hear from the Case Choir and the West Violin Troupe. We are very passionate about every student in our region waking up each morning excited to be a Mustang. At the end of February, we're excited to celebrate Black History Month with our second annual Black History Extravaganza. More details and invitations to follow. Now, onto our Mustang events. Last week, we held our winter rally that showcased huge murals that represented each class and had performances from our Impulse Dance Company, MTH Band, and Varsity Cheer. After the weekend, students were able to participate in our Winter Wonderland Spirit Week. On Monday, we got comfy and wore pajamas. Today, we kept it going with flannels. On Wednesday, students can twin with their bestie or their favorite teacher. On Thursday, everyone can get warm with their fuzzy sweater and socks. And to end it off, on Friday, everyone goes to school in white to make our school a truly winter wonderland. We also started a charity drive with Hill Mua, whose goal is to have students donate sneakers to give to others who are in need of them. This drive started recently on January 14th and will end on the 28th of January.
Now on to athletics on the trail. We recently celebrated the end of a tremendous football season by being ranked 3rd overall in the city. The Mustangs had the privilege of competing in the section championship game against Folsom at Sac State in December. While we weren't able to come away with the victory, it was incredibly fulfilling to see our players play hard. Our cheerleaders and band and community filled the stands with Mustang pride. As a reward for their hard work for the past 4 years, a special congratulations to Zachary Larrier and Jahiel Budget. Zach has been accepted on a full-ride scholarship to the Air Force, and Jahiel getting a full ride will be at UC Davis Aggie in the fall. Both our men's, women, and Men's and women's basketball teams are doing well, which had them both ranked in the city a couple weeks ago. We are also competing in wrestling and men's and women's soccer in the Metro League. We are proud that all of our teams are full of tremendous student athletes giving it their all in the classroom and on the field or court every day. Each day on the trail, students exemplify our core values: community, respect, confidence, and integrity. We look forward to our next and final opportunity to present to the board all of the great things happening on the trail.
For the green and gold, thank you.
Thank you. And Sheldon High School, please.
Good evening, Board President Chet Madison, members of the board, Superintendent Hoffman, and Ms. Avalos. My name is Simran Thandli.
And my name is Harleen Kaur, and we are from Sheldon High School. As the end of the year comes into sight, 98.5% of our seniors are working on their senior projects. They are doing projects in the following categories: automotive, career, community service, sports and coaching, visual and performing arts, and etc. Their projects will be presented at the end of the year during senior boards. In October, we had a community carnival with the theme of Halloween, which included performances, games, and food. Everyone who came out to enjoy the evening with family and friends had a great time. We had our Academy Night at the end of October, where incoming 9th and current 9th graders got a chance to see presentations of every academy offered at Sheldon High School. We have students joining biotech, building trades, equitas, artwork, and to get students closer to their interests. We held our academic award ceremony in October, where 270 students received an academic award for receiving a 3.75 GPA or better in the last 2 quarters of the 2017-2018 school year.
In the fall of 2018, a terrific 27 English learner student accomplished the amazing goal of being redesignated as fluent in the English language. On January 1st, Sheldon High School will be honoring all of the successes and achievements of our English language learners. The fall celebration and redesignation and academic recognition will be held January 31st in 2019 from 5 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. Light refreshments will be served. On behalf of the Sheldon High School English Language Learner Team, we would like to invite to our school board members to take a part of this amazing event. In other news, in December, Sheldon held the annual Multicultural Assembly, where diverse clubs on campus had the opportunity to showcase cultural dances. The diversity was breathtaking, as students put forth months of practice, and the night show took place the same night and was enjoyed by students who wanted to see the show a second time and with proud parents. We recently held our Top Dog Luncheon, where teachers got to enjoy catered lunch with students achieving the Sheldon right way. In the fall semester, TheaterWorks actors and technicians shined the classic comedy of The Imaginary Invalid. February 1st through the 3rd, Sheldon actors and technicians will participate along 65 other high school theater programs in the 63rd Annual Linnea Theater Festival at Harris Center for the Performing Arts 3-stage at Folsom Lake College.
TheaterWorks' annual children's show, Detectives Down Under, opens Thursday, March 7th. Our spring musical, Rogers plus Hammerstein's Cinderella, opens Friday, the 12th of April, in the Sheldon Performing Arts Center. Our Artswork Academy will host our annual Arts Alive. The event is on Thursday, May 2nd.
For our sports fan, a recap of football season. We would like to congratulate Coach Joe Catalico for receiving Delta League Coach of the Year, and our football team for being the Delta League champions. We had Carissa Pham, a senior, represent our Sheldon High School volleyball program very well in the 35th Annual Optimist High School Girls Volleyball All-Star Game. Elijah Pierce will also represent Sheldon High School in the Football Optimist game this year. Men's varsity basketball participated in the Tarkanian Classic in Las Vegas and won 2 out of 2 games, while also competing in the Torrey Pines tournament in San Diego and winning 3 out of 4 games while being undefeated in the league play.
Women's varsity basketball took 2nd place at the West Coast Jamboree in Antioch over the winter break. 3 varsity wrestlers competed in the Bulldog Classic at Turlock High School. Winnie Guan was a triumphant with 1st place finish in the girls' varsity 126-pound division. Varsity wrestlers also compete at the Lloyd C. Engel Varsity Wrestling Tournament, with Escalon Patrick Hernandez at 1st place, Amon Rana and Alejandro Rosado at 2nd, and Noah Yang in third.
Upcoming events. We have our Winter Homecoming Rally this Friday. Everyone always enjoys rallies because of the positive environment that is put forth. Next Friday, we have our Winter Homecoming Dance, which everyone is excited about attending. Our theme being fairy tale, and homecoming will definitely be magical. Our dance is after our homecoming game, where our varsity women's basketball team will show some moves in the court before the dance floor. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Good report. I want to recognize our principals at the schools from their presentation. Mark Levine, principal at Elk Grove Charter School. Eric Swanson, Monterey Trail. And Paula Duncan at Sheldon High School. Okay, thank you. All students, you may be excused for your homework. Thank you. Okay, I'd like to call on Ms. Ewing to come up on recognition of the 2018-19 District Spelling Bee winners, and Mr. Fortino will assist you on it.
Good evening, President Madison, members of the Board of Education, Superintendent Hoffman, and Ms. Avalos. The 2018-19 Elk Grove Unified School District Spelling Bee was held on November 29, 2018. 47 of our 3rd through 8th grade students, each representing his or her school, participated in this year's competition, and once again, it was an exciting day. At this time, I'd like to introduce you to both our 2018-19 Spelling Bee runner-up and champion. Our runner-up this year is 5th grade student Swapnel Dasari, representing Robert J. McGarvey Elementary School. Congratulations, Swapnel, on this outstanding accomplishment. Given that he's a 5th grader, we just might see him again here in the future. Also, please join me in congratulating our 2019-18-19 Spelling Bee champion, 6th grade student from Stone Lake Elementary School, Pratham Rangwala. Pratham was crowned champion spelling the word euthanasia. Y'all want to give it a try? I'd also like to recognize and invite both Swapnil and Pratham's principals to join them in this accomplishment, Mark Beard from Stone Lake Elementary School and Mike Golden from Robert J. McGarvey Elementary School.
Yeah, the parents, you can come up too and take your pictures very closely, if you like. Yeah, if the teachers are here as well. Yes, 2 teachers. And parents. Yeah. Come on up, parents. Thank you for the fine accomplishment. Another hand for him. Okay, I'd like to call up Kathy Hamilton. Is she here? Okay, you're going to pinch hit for it. All right. On Career Technical Education Month resolution.
Thank you, President Madison, members of the board, Superintendent Hoffman, and Ms. Avalos. The Board of Education is respectfully asked to approve Resolution 39 designating February as Career Technical Education Month. The month of February has been designated as Career Technical Education Month. The observance allows us to celebrate the contribution of career tech education as a vehicle to provide our students with high-quality college, career, and life preparation. The Elk Grove Unified School District offers its students a broad spectrum of CTE opportunities beginning in middle school, exploratory programs that lead to high school, introductory, intermediate, and advanced courses. Elk Grove Unified School District's CTE programs are considered exemplary throughout the region and the state, and this resolution affirms the work of district staff in continuing to provide students with educational and workplace opportunities beyond those found in traditional instructional models.
And I agree.
And with that, I respectfully ask for the board to consider approval of the resolution.
Okay, I want to call for a motion to adopt Resolution 39 designated February 2019 as Career Technical Education Month.
So moved.
Second.
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Very much.
Thank you, Mark.
Okay, I'd like to call on Danielle Black to come up for African American History Month resolution.
Good evening, Board President Madison, members of the board, Superintendent Hoffman, and Ms. Avalos. I am honored and delighted to ask for your approval of Resolution Number 35, designating February 2019 as African American History Month. This resolution celebrates the efforts and achievements made by African American individuals which have benefited all of us. The California Department of Education has designated February African American History Month as an opportunity for society at large and schools in particular to celebrate the achievements of African Americans and also to re-examine society's role in preserving the civil rights of all of its citizens. Although the study of the contribution and the literature about and authored by African Americans is part of the curriculum throughout the year, this designation in February adds special emphasis. To assist Elk Grove schools in planning special events during African American History Month, the Curriculum and Professional Learning Department has curated a list of resources that can also be used to support the activities and classwork that occur throughout the year in accordance with sites and department students' unity and diversity goals. At the elementary level, the African American history activities are integrated into classroom discussions, art projects, social studies, and language arts. All elementary schools include the study of influential African Americans throughout the year. Examples from our adopted curriculum include A Great American Teacher, a biography about Mary McLeod Bethune, as well as Delivering Justice, a biography about how one man became a civil rights leader in his community. At the secondary level, some specific pieces of African American literature include Beloved, Black Boy, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, Native Son, Their Eyes Are Watching God, and Raisin in the Sun. History social science teachers engage students in discussions and learning about the history and contributions of African Americans in the United States and the world. Given this information, I humbly ask that the Board of Education approve Resolution Number 35, designating February 2019 as African American History Month. Thank you.
Okay, I want to call for a motion to adopt Resolution Number 35 designating February 2019 as African American History Month. Then moved in second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Okay, request for student expulsion. I want to ask if anyone wishes to address the board in closed session regarding a student expulsion recommendation. Okay, seeing none, I want to call for a motion. Moved by Mr. Perez. Second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. I want to call for requests to return from student expulsion. Call for a motion for that.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved in second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, we have public comment. With the public comment, we're going to have, with the large amount we have, will be 2 minutes. And I'm going to call 3 people up at a time so you can line up. I think we move right along. Laura Delight, Paula Delgado, and Tammy Silveira. And please state your name for the records each time.
Sounds good. Hi, I'm Laura Delight. It never gets less intimidating to talk to you guys. I'm not going to lie, but I'll try my best.
Okay.
Good evening, and thank you for your time tonight. My name is Laura Delight, and I am a proud product of this district, as well as an educator in your employ. Tonight, I'd like to address the public comments as of late regarding our possible new social studies and history curriculum, specifically the inclusion of LGBT figures and their allies. I'm not going to do you the disservice of pretending this is a safe or easy decision. I know it isn't. What I also know is that the choice to create a safer and more accepting world for any marginalized population is an incredibly courageous one, and courage is so rarely simple or comfortable. The objections to the sample text, as I understand them, is that community members are concerned about teaching young students about sex or sexuality. I think any reasonable human would agree that first graders shouldn't be learning about sex. Good thing the passages detractors are citing don't mention that, right? Instead, these passages mention people who have been celebrated for living in their authenticity, allies and trailblazers. One of the reasons I have such a deep appreciation for our district is how privileged we are to be entrusted with the care and education of such a beautifully diverse population. This means that we are responsible for empowering students from all walks of life to create the world of tomorrow. Part of the creation of tomorrow is, I hope you will agree, the understanding of yesterday. The inclusion of our LGBT brothers and sisters does not indoctrinate our youth, as so many speakers have come here to claim, but paints a more accurate picture of our history. Whether we are speaking of Alan Turing, who created technology that allowed the Allies to overcome the Nazis, Alexander the Great, Da Vinci, Eleanor Roosevelt, Sally Ride, Alexander Hamilton, or countless others, our world today was built and improved upon by people from all walks of life, LGBT people included.
Please wrap up.
Thank you. Just one more second, sorry. It's time we include that in our common knowledge. Frankly stated, the challenge in the number of people, or the change in the number of people who identify as LGBT is not an indication that more of us exist, simply that more of us feel safe being out of the closet. It's only because of representation. Thank you for your time. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Tammy Silveira. Board President Madison, members of the board, Superintendent Hoffman, and Ms. Avalos. I am here as a parent, as a community member for over 20 years, and a staff member in the EGUSD, to state my full support for the equitable inclusion of LGBTQ lesson plans in our history and social science curriculum and textbooks as mandated by California's Fair Education Act. I have previewed the available curriculum choices and support the approval of these materials for classroom use. I have no issue with this subject matter and these materials being taught to my 6th grade daughter. I was actually surprised at how little text was devoted to this issue in the curriculum and think that our district can go much further. I believe this change is imperative to show the district's support not only for our LGBTQ students, but also for our LGBTQ families, and as you've seen here tonight, our LGBTQ staff. I also fully support broader LGBTQ programs and resources for students and families. There's been much attention paid to the issue of equity in EGUSD in response to hateful and unacceptable behavior on the part of some students, and I am not here to minimize those incidences. But our LGBTQ staff, students, and families also experience hate and discrimination. This discrimination can come from peers, but also from adults in this community, as unfortunately we have publicly witnessed in comments made at prior board meetings, through the hateful picketing by adults in front of our schools, and by the homophobic and discriminatory statements that have recently aired in our local news outlets. EGUSD is not alone in supporting LGBTQ inclusion. Please wrap up. The National Education Association, Teacher Association, and the National PTA, also our local unions like AFSCME, have all adopted policies for LGBTQ inclusion and actively and publicly oppose discrimination. I ask that as elected members of this board and as the leadership of this district, you not waver in your support for the protection and rights of lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer students, staff, and families. Thank you.
Good evening, Superintendent Hoffman, Board President Madison, members of the board, Ms. Avalos. My name is Paul Legato. I am a current parent, 15 years of this district with 4 years more to go. I'm here tonight to show my support for the new inclusive curriculum of the social studies and history that was presented to the public on December 14th. I understand how some may feel threatened by the new ways of thinking, although it's not very new. But as for an ally of the LGBTQ community, I embrace anything that shows true historic significance that the LGBTQ community has had on our current society. The curriculum, I felt as an educator, was tasteful and well laid out. I was surprised to witness people who felt the need to have specifics pointed out to them and had to mark the pages so others could find the points of content. If it needed to be pointed out, then it must not be enough to indoctrinate our children or our students, as was portrayed on the local media. As advanced as our district is and wants to continue to be, I would hope that we can be on the correct side of history with this decision. I appreciate your time and your efforts put into this district and our students, and I hope you have a great year. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, the following Jeffrey Edwards come up, Audrey Russell, and Graham Stuart.
Hi, my name is Jeff Edwards. I'm here with the Stonewall Foundation of Greater Sacramento, which is the charitable arm of the Stonewall Democratic Club. The foundation's purpose is to support emerging LGBT leaders in the Greater Sacramento area by supporting local GSAs, by monitoring Fair Act compliance, hence my visit, and by providing a full year's tuition to an emerging leader at Sacramento State University. I want to encourage you to adopt Fair Act compliant curriculum and to ensure that all children, including LGBT children in this district, are treated fairly and are fairly represented. Thank you.
Good evening, Board President Madison, members of the board, Superintendent Hoffman, and Ms. Avalos. My name is Dr. Audrey Rusick, and I am here tonight to voice my full support of the proposed adoption of the new K-8 History Social Science instructional materials that are aligned with the California Fair Act to increase the visibility of diverse groups in the history curriculum, including the ethnic and cultural diversity, LGBTQ individuals, and persons with disabilities. I am a mother of 2 small children and an employee of Elk Grove Unified, but I also have a PhD in American Studies. I'm a former high school history teacher and college professor, and I'm currently practicing published historian. As a practicing historian, I can attest to the fact that the stories and telling of history are always unfinished. Historians by trade are always searching for and unearthing new evidence, incorporating underrepresented voices into history, and shedding new light on familiar topics. History and our textbooks have always reflected the relations of power in a society because they implicitly ask the question, whose stories are worthy of telling? There is not a single set of people whose past represents the only and true history, and the Fair Act intends to address this disparity. I have reviewed the proposed instructional materials, and tonight I want to emphasize my professional and my personal perspective that our textbooks and our students need wider representation, and in particular, our LGBTQ students and families deserve to see themselves in the curriculum we teach, and for all students to learn about the vast and varied history and contributions of multiple people and voices frequently relegated to the margins. Without this inclusive, expanded version of history, we miss the essence of our discipline. I respectfully ask that as the elected members of the board and as the leadership of this district, that you not waver in your support for the inclusion, protection, and rights of lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer students, staff, and families. Thank you for your time.
Good evening. My name is Graham Stuart. I am a teacher and I am a parent in this district. First of all, I'd like to thank the board for having public comment and for inviting me here or being open for me. The last time I was talking was a couple years ago when it was under a very different set of circumstances. So I just want to thank the board for their efforts in the last few years to make Elk Grove a nicer place to live and teach. I have a multiple subject teaching credential in elementary education. I have a single subject teaching credential in social studies. I have reviewed, came in on my own time, I reviewed the curriculum that has been controversial. I see nothing in that curriculum that is inappropriate to age, that is inappropriate for elementary school children. I have a child that is transgender. He is in 9th grade at Laguna Creek High School. I did want to thank the board for making the current climate of Elk Grove Unified School District good for him, because he has grown and thrived through a lot of your actions and policies of being inclusive. You're starting to set up an infrastructure with Ms. Silveira. You're doing the right thing. Please continue to do the right thing. There are children out there, no matter how much people want to put their fingers in their ears, cover their eyes, and scream la, la, la at the top of their lungs, these children are not going away. More and more are going to show up. They need to be represented in this curriculum. My son had no idea that there was anybody like him when he was growing up. Now he knows. Thank you for your time.
Okay, the following three: Elsa Lyon, Rachel Velasquez, and Susan Mason.
Good evening. Thank you for your time. My name is Elsa Lyon. I'm a teacher in the school district. And I would like to thank the board and Elk Grove Unified School District for their consideration of the legal requirements included in the Fair Education Act as we adopt new social science curriculum. I would also like to offer my very deep appreciation for the work done in Elk Grove Unified School District this year to support our LGBTQI students through clubs and leadership training. As most of us are aware, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, questioning, and intersex youth face some of the highest suicide rates in our nation. They also negotiate a great deal of bullying and abuse from their peers and in society at large. Your support is allowing us to better care for these students, to teach acceptance of difference, and to save lives. It is needed and very deeply appreciated. Please continue to support these students.
Hello, my name is Rachel. I am a mother, grandmother.
Can you pull the
homeowner,
mic
tax
down?
kid.
Excuse me, Rachel, can you pull the mic down so we can hear you? Thank you.
I've worked with kids for a very long time, and I understand that there are issues with kids that are LGBTQ that do get hurt. However, I have recently, for the last 5 years, worked with at-risk children. I've worked with them at juvenile hall.
And some of them said they were gay. I am a person of faith, and I love those children. I never once looked down at them. But what I'm here to say is that you're taking away the right of every parent for their child not to have to learn about homosexuality. As a grandmother, I have a 12-year-old granddaughter. I'm appalled. I did come and look at the curriculum, and I'm appalled that there is the potential of her getting online links to porn sites so that she can see, potentially, if she decides that she is gay. You are pushing agendas that have been set up by higher-ups. When we moved here over 20 years ago, we chose to come here because this was an awesome school district. My sons grew up here. Now I have grandchildren that will be going through this school district. And I'm very concerned about what they're going to learn in school. It is very important for the children's sake for them not to be raped. Here's what I found in my experience with the children at juvenile hall. 100% of the children that I mentored, that I personally sat down with in a room, they confessed to me that they were molested. Some of those were gay, some of those were straight, some of those were pimps, some of those were drug dealers. It was a variety of kids. But 100% of the kids, and I probably worked with 50 children one-on-one who were raped. They were molested.
Okay, can you
And
bring
so
it
I'm
to a
saying,
conclusion?
please, do not jump on this bandwagon. I understand that we have to include them. I understand
40
that.
seconds over now.
I'm not asking that you be ugly to these children. I'm asking that you love them and that you actually teach acceptance.
Thank you.
That's a hard act to follow. Good evening, my name's Susan Mason. I had prepared remarks, but I'm going to, again, less time, so I have to kind of wing it. I came last month because I was upset about the curriculum, and I made my comments. I am finding out that your staffer said that only about 80 people showed up to review the curriculum and the books, and that it may be higher. I'm kind of surprised to hear a lot more people here tonight, so I'm happy about that. But it seems like if she said that over about half of them were parents, that the parents didn't get the word. And with a school district this large, I'm kind of concerned about that. Because what I see coming down the pike is, and the social studies, history lessons, textbooks, curriculum, I understand parents cannot opt out of. But the California Department of Education wants every public school child as young as 5 to be taught that sex is assigned at birth. And there's some other curriculum that I'm really disturbed by. One of the lesson plans from Be Real, Be Ready, lesson 19, page 3, shows a student with a question, if you don't have time or money to buy sex toys, and then it shows a carrot. What if you don't have time or money to buy sex toys? It shows a carrot, cucumber, and banana. Come on, really? As an emergency room nurse in the past, I can tell you that more than once I assisted with the removal of sex toys from vaginas and rectums of adults. Some of these patients had further injuries by perforation and infections. This is not appropriate for students who may want to explore. It's highly risky, in my opinion, to even plant the idea or seed. In my opinion, it looks like you're grooming children to accept very adult and controversial topics as normal. So I would ask that you just keep that in mind.
Please
I
wrap
also
up.
learned that the CDC wants public school children to be taught that sex is assigned at birth. As a labor and delivery nurse, when a baby is born, if the parents don't already know the sex, we joyfully announce the sex of a newborn. common sense and observation serve to identify whether the newborn is a girl or a boy. I
Mason,
believe that
please
sex
wrap
is
it up.
assigned at conception by our Creator. You can determine how the content of these things is covered in which grade levels, and I would just ask you to keep that, please, in mind. Thank you.
Okay, the next, Shannon Barches, Greg Burt, and Edward Ortiz, please.
Thank you, Honorables, for the opportunity to speak with you tonight. I kindly request 2 items. First, you move to adopt history and social science textbooks that are culturally competent, historically accurate, and equitable to the representations of the diverse contribution of all people that make California the extraordinary place that it is. And second, please provide resources and support to teach them. With the signing of the law, the Fair Education Act, we have an extraordinary opportunity to move forward and with our students toward an authentic, diverse, compassionate, and harmonious community. As you well know, the contributions of LGBTQ individuals and Americans with disabilities must be taught, but it is up to you, the local districts, to determine how the instructional content is included. This message has understandably left the district teachers, including myself, feeling a bit uncertain. Students deserve an accurate and significant narrative of the past, but do teachers have the resources and support to teach the narrative, and will the district have their back to do so? Rather than having the FAIR Act be a separate, discrete, add-on kind of topic, please choose a textbook that incorporates it alongside existing themes, questions, and topics. Integrate these histories side by side. Will allow students to explore the complexity of the past, but also to learn every person has a history, and it is up to the teacher and those in the classroom to make meaningful connections about that past. For example, in 2nd grade, as students learn about the many different family structures, single parent, adopted parent, grandparent-headed households, same-sex parents should of course be included on the list. When students learn about civil rights and social protest movements, they should learn about LGBTQ and disability history. These connections come easily to students who already learn how movements for racial, ethnic, and gender equality emerge and build on each other in the 20th century. Layering on the role of LGBTQ individuals and Americans with disability is a necessary and natural connection. Students learn that race is an idea and an identity that changes meaning over time. The same concept should be applied to gender and sexual identity. Students deserve to see themselves, their families, and their community represented.
Okay, wrap it up,
25
please.
seconds over.
I appreciate it. The California Department of Education approves the textbooks that you've already moved to adopt. I ask that you adopt them as they fairly depict the LGBT community I represent and celebrate. In addition, I ask that you provide strong curriculum leadership to the students or to the teachers so that they feel prepared to teach them. I am Mix Barkis, all-human GSA advisor and advocate for cultural change at Smedberg Middle School and throughout our district. Thank you for your time, your dedication, and your direction.
Board President, members, my name is Greg Burt, and I'm an Elk Grove parent, and I work for a Christian nonprofit advocacy organization called the California...
Excuse me one second.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Mr. Ortiz, is he here? Okay. Go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. My name is Greg Bird. I'm an Elk Grove parent, and I work for a Christian nonprofit advocacy organization called the California Family Council that's very interested in defending parental rights and advocating for positive values within schools. And I'm here tonight to speak in opposition to the proposed K-8 social studies curriculum under consideration by the district. I have 3 main points. The first point, teaching elementary school children about sexual topics does not belong in elementary school. Second, it doesn't seem to make sense to adopt curriculum that teaches kids to admire certain people that you wouldn't allow to be teachers because of their criminal activity. And third, you have the authority under this law, the Fair Education Act, to prevent this sexualized curriculum from coming into our elementary schools. On the first point, when you introduce children as young as first and second grade to sexual orientation, you are introducing them to a sexualized topic. There is no way to talk about someone who identifies as gay without explaining what it means to be gay. You can't explain homosexuality without telling kids it has to do with sexual desires. And once you're talking about sexual desires, you're talking about sex. If you bring the topic up, kids are going to ask. So what are teachers going to tell them? Secondly, curriculum in second grade that's being proposed honors Jose Serraria for his honesty and uses him as an example for kids to admire. But he could never be a teacher in Elk Grove because he was arrested and convicted for sexual activity in a public bathroom, a place known for anonymous sex. The curriculum also honors Harvey Milk for his honesty and bravery, for being honest about who he is sexually attracted to. But Harvey Milk would never be allowed to be a high school
Please
teacher
wrap up. Your overtime, sir.
in Elk Grove based on his well-known sexual relationship with a 16-year-old. And what I provided you was chapter 3 of his autobiography, a whole chapter explaining his sexual relationship with teenagers. So, and then this lastly, you're going to be told that you have to implement this curriculum. If you look at the Fair Education Act website, it says that it's up to the teacher, the local school district, to determine how the content is covered and at which grade levels. I simply encourage you to move all of this sexualized content into junior high and out of elementary school.
We got it. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you, board members, for allowing me this privilege. My name is Edward Ortiz. I'm a father. I have young children that go to Elk Grove School District. I really appreciate the fact that you're giving me this chance to be able to speak my mind. I don't have a whole lot to say. I'm not very eloquent. I moved my family over here because I knew how the education system is over here. I don't understand how the board or this law came into play, but nevertheless, I'm totally against bullying. That should be one of the subjects that should be brought up. Maybe a topic to where it displays bullying, how it's not tolerated, regardless of how you feel or what your sexual preference is or whatever. Nevertheless, I plead with the board to not take away my rights to be able to at least opt my child or children out of this portion of the education system. I believe we live in a great country to where we have freedoms. Just as much as I wouldn't try to enforce my belief system onto somebody else, I would expect the same courtesy so that I don't feel like I'm in a socialist country. Again, that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Okay, the following, Aldo Ortiz, Phil Fuller, and Nicholas Barra.
Good evening, board. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. My name's Aldo Ortiz. I will
I
be
want to
reading
pull the
off-
mic down so we can hear
Oh,
you,
sorry, I'm
please.
short.
Thank you.
I had to type it up real quick because I, got off of work doing my 9-hour shift. I am a mother of 4. My oldest is 26, who's looking into teaching, and I have a 4-year-old, the youngest. And then I have a high schooler who's a senior this year, and I have a 9-year-old. We moved out here from Monterey County, and it's been a blessing to be here. Our children have been very empowered in the education system here in Elk Grove, and we are grateful for that. I'm here to plead with you to please allow us at least to opt out of the LGBT curriculum, just like we have been for our other older children for the family life. The Bible and God was taken out of schools Why impose a preference upon all children that might not be practicing this lifestyle? Bullying appears to be a higher risk that, if not addressed through teaching and extensive training to our children in schools, can become a fatal consequences. There comes a point where the responsibility of certain teachings should be left for parents in their homes. We should be able to exercise our freedoms. Why should homeschooling be my only resort for my children? Because we are a family of faith. We have nothing against the LGBT community. My children have friends that are gay and bisexual, specifically right now my high schooler. And they have been able to be open to her because she was taught to love everyone and to be friends, even with those that no one would want to be friends with. That's how my children were brought up. And my daughter has been told by these children that they're afraid to tell their family. It all goes back to the home. And so I just plead with you that we should teach our children about not bullying regardless of what they decide to choose for their lifestyle. This goes beyond, and we just ask that you do not take our rights as parents, as U.S. citizens that we are here, and that we are all different. We're not here to target a specific community. We're here just to exercise our rights.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Board. Thank you for listening to us tonight and opening your eyes and your minds along with us. I had the opportunity, my name is Phil Fuller. I'm a parent of multiple kids at Butler Elementary and also serve as a pastor in town here. And I have had the opportunity to review the curriculum, and by and large, it's good curriculum. I understand that. There's a lot of good things to it. I'm wholeheartedly in favor of increased diversity in the curriculum and the nationality, the cultures, celebrating people with disabilities, and the accomplishments of people from all walks of life. And I believe that every person, regardless of where they come from or how they live their life, is due the honor and the dignity that every other person on this planet is due. That said, I have three concerns regarding especially the inclusion of the LGBTQ agenda in the curriculum. Number one is the quality of the character and in the individuals used in the examples already stated. Was Jose Julio Saria and Harvey Milk, who would have been fired or never hired in this district. And you guys know that full well. And even as I was leaving this evening, my daughter said, and she didn't even know where I was going, but she said, you know, can you ask them about this? And she hands me, my 9-year-old daughter, a newsletter where it's tackling gay rights and elevates Harvey Milk as a hero. We've already heard about his story. And she says, and it says sex 9 times. And now, we've talked to my daughter about sex, and we talk about respect for those of different lifestyles regardless. But that is something that should be tackled in the home and allowed for me to help her understand how to respect others rather than it being indoctrinated in the school. And that's in a very brief article. And the third thing, that's my third point, is that this really does belong at ages of 6 or 8 or 10 for parents and guardians to be the ones helping their children understand how to treat others with respect. It's been said that this is not sex ed.
Please wrap up, sir.
Understand that, thank you. It's been said that this is not sex ed, but don't tell me that it's not sex ed when they're included for the sole reason that they represent the LGBTQ movement and lifestyle. And so I respectfully ask the board to consider other curriculum options which respect the mandates of the Fair Education Act, but don't go so far in pushing this agenda. Thank you.
Go ahead and pull your mic down.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Thanks.
Good evening, Board President Madison, members of the board.
Hold on. Hold on one second.
Is it on now?
It is. Perfect. Thank you.
Board President Madison, members of the board, Superintendent Hoffman, and Ms. Avalos. I am Nicholas Bua. I am a teacher in this district. I am Christian, devout, and I'm also gay. And so I'm here to speak on behalf of my students and our families and staff that are also LGBTQ or identify as such and feel left out all of the time. And I'm very in support of the new curriculum and LGBT inclusion. For me, I went to school districts that Had none of that in the curriculum. I didn't even know that a person could be gay or what that meant until I was in high school and encountered it outside of the classroom. And so I'm highly supportive of you introducing it in the classroom, because students will learn it one way or another, whether they learn it at home or at school or on the internet or from their friends. And so in a controlled, safe setting like a classroom, that is the best possible scenario for introducing students in an equitable way to the material. And myself, personally, I think it's important even at the elementary levels, because most of my friends, myself included, figured out that we were at least different, whether we had a name for it or not, in elementary school. But because we didn't know what it was, because we didn't see it in school, and there was no representation, we assumed that there was something wrong with us. And then community, students don't know any better, right? And so there's continual microaggressions every day. That's gay, this is whatever, you know, that people say. And that builds and builds and builds like a ton of little paper cuts, and suddenly you're bleeding out. And I wrestled with suicidality and all sorts of that for many, many years, and I'm still trying to piece my mental health back together. And I've seen so many people in the same boat. And so I'm just so excited to see that students may actually grow up in a world where they know that there is not something wrong with them and that they're not trash and to be detested and thrown out. And I think my faith also supports that kind of love. Thank you.
Okay, the next, Chauncey Killens, Maria Amaya, and Julie Stenroos.
My name is Chauncey Killens. I'm from Roseville, California, so I don't have any kids in this district. However, I'm glad to see on this panel that there seems to be, there's no women on this panel, and there's 3 African Americans. How do I know that? Because I'm looking. See, you don't know someone's sex. You don't know one's sexual behavior by looking at them. I don't need to know that. You don't need to tell me you're black, you're white. I see that. You don't have to tell me your sex. Teach us reading, writing, arithmetic. That's what our children should be learning. Yes, we do not hate. I'm not a homophobic bigot. I do not hate no one. This is what's being promulgated, and I think it's wrong. It's just as wrong to bully homosexuals as it is for people to say, hey, you're a bigot, you're a hater. And the law doesn't support, the law doesn't protect people from being bullied by that, and I think that's wrong. What I'm suggesting is that you guys are going to do what you're going to do, that you present a opt-in. I think it's the onus of the school to say, we want our kids to learn this. We're going to send you an opt-in slip. If your parent does not sign this slip, your child does not have to participate. The opt-out says, we're going to send it, but if the parents don't sign it, we're going to send their kids anyway. The kids are on loan. You don't own these children. Yes, you love kids. You're concerned. You don't own these kids. But you're telling the parents, we went to school, we know what's better for your children. I'm saying that's wrong. If kids that believe in the LGBTQRSTWXYZ, if they want their kids to go to the class, let them send their kids to that class. But if parents don't want their kids, especially elementary, I would say till college, but somebody said,
Please wrap
high
up,
school
sir.
or whatever, please respect us as parents. We can't even pray in school because that's forcing something on them. But now you're going to force the LGBTQ on us. So I left here a paper for you, opt in instead of opt out. Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Hello,
My name is Maria, and I am here to say no to the new K through 12 curriculum. I am not a resident of the Elk Grove School District, but I am highly black and white, and I don't agree with the fact that fifth graders or a kindergarten 5-year-old kid should be taught what sexual orientation they are. I have had the opportunity to review the material, and one of the suggestions that they gave were the gender spectrum. What does a 6-year-old have to know about the gender spectrum? Why are these kids being taught whether they're a boy or a girl? Why that causes confusion, and these kids are the last thing. They're so pure, and it's like they're robbing their innocence. So I highly disagree with this new curriculum, and I'm not a parent, but I am a future mother, and I do plan on being a mom, and I do not agree with this. I would absolutely not allow my kid to go and learn this. I do agree with the fact that people should have the right that, okay, I choose not to take my kid down this path. There's nothing towards a specific community. I have nothing towards a specific person. I just do not agree with that path. I choose this path. So thank you for your time. Have a good evening.
Good evening, board. My name is Julie Stenroos. I know a lot of you know me. I'm a 17-year-old student at Pleasant Grove High School. When I was 15, I was raped. When I was 16, I attempted suicide. And I still to this day openly and proudly identify as gay. I support this curriculum. I wish this curriculum was integrated when I was growing up in the education system. Love is more than just sex. The largest concern here is sex. Being someone who has been raped in a gay relationship, I know that sex is not what a relationship revolves around. I wish I learned that when I was younger. I wish I was educated about what sex was and that I did not have to comply to those things if I was gay. Being gay is not about having sex with people of the same gender. Being gay is being in love with people of the same gender. Such as being trans is identifying as a different gender. Love is love. Sex is not love. Love has never, ever, ever been about sex. Love is love, and I am proud to be part of this community and this school district. Thank you.
Next, we have Derek Bogard, Angelina Mangini, and Amy McGill.
Board members, I'd like to thank you for allowing us to give our opinions on this tonight. I appreciate that. I am fairly new to Elk Grove. I've been here for 3 years. I have 3 children, one in the district now, another one joining next year in kindergarten. So I live here. This is my home. And I am also a religious person. I have some very deeply held religious beliefs, and the objections that I have to this curriculum stem along those lines. My beliefs do not include harming anyone else. They do not include disrespecting anyone else. So I want to make that very clear right now. But they do involve a very deeply held set of religious and moral values. And one of the biggest problems that I have with this curricula, which some others have expressed already, is that this curricula undermines my efforts to instill those religious morals into my own children. I would like to read a couple of quotes from an online magazine called Queerty. It is, as Time Magazine says, one of the leading LGBTQ magazines. And as of 2015, it had, I believe, 5 million unique monthly visitors. So this is not some small-time magazine. So the author of this article several years ago refers to the National Organization of Marriage and says, quote, they accuse us of exploiting children, and in response we say, no, we're not going to make kids learn about homosexuality, we swear. It's not like we're trying to recruit your children or anything, but let's face it, that's a lie. We want educators to teach future generations of children to accept queer sexuality. Further down in the article, it also says, why would we push anti-bullying programs or social studies classes that teach kids about the historical contributions of famous queers unless we wanted to deliberately educate children to accept queer sexuality as normal? So with the law that California has passed, this seems to be a part of it, and I have a problem with that. The curriculum we have now is fine. Others have expressed the desire to opt out or make it so that we can opt in. Elk Grove is a very diverse place, and yet with this new curriculum, it is not going to serve the needs of all of the members of the community. I don't understand why we have to have one curriculum forced down from above when there are so many different views, different people in this district. Why can we not have multiple curriculums? Why can we not have more choice? It is said that in the United States, we don't have a king,
wrap
and
up,
that's
sir.
true. Thank you. We have many kings. We have many kings and queens even. People that have a little slice of power where they can decide what happens in other people's lives. And in a very real sense, that is you today. And you will make a choice that will affect us. And I hope and ask that you will make a choice that will allow us to have more influence in what our children are being taught. Again, I say all of this with respect. I mean no ill will or harm to anyone. But these are some very deeply held beliefs that I and many others in the community have. Thank you.
Okay. Hello, my name is Angelina Mangelli, and I'm a junior at Cosumnes Oaks High School. I am here to speak on behalf of my Math 3 program at my school. Just to give you an idea of the kind of student that I am part of Link Crew, Spirit Crew, National Honor Society, MedPros, Smile Makers, and a yearbook editor. I earned a 4.0 last term taking 3 AP classes. You are as surprised as I am to hear that I failed Math 3 with a 59.6%. I was given a book that you've provided and was told by my teacher to throw it away. Losing that resource, I had to look for other ways to teach myself. I got a tutor who's a teacher and teaches high school math in this district and has sessions 2 to 3 times a week. I committed my weekends to the IXL program on the internet to get extra practice. I went early and stayed late at school to get extra help, and I still failed Math 3. I was given tests with 28 problems, working bell to bell on these 7 to 8 steps and still not finishing on time. I went to my teacher to ask how I could finish, and he simply told me, work faster. When I asked for partial credit, I was told no. The test corrections were the same amount of points, which is not true. The point of this is to show you that I am not a 59.6% student. This grade does not represent me as a mathematician. This grade represents a math program that is flawed in many ways and is not student-centered. It is frustrating to compare my math to my friends who are attending other schools in this district and learn that they are allowed calculators and partial credit. We are the Elk Grove Unified School District, and we are no way unified in our programs. I understand that teachers need the freedom to be able to decide how they run their classrooms, but I think we can have some basic standards and still let teachers be able to have freedom. If the basic standard of partial credit was allowed at Cosumnes Oaks, I would have passed the class with a 71%, a difference of 12%, a difference of if I got a summer or not. I'm looking to make a difference for the Math 3 program. It is not going to help me. I've already signed up for summer school, but it will help kids like me. I strongly encourage you to look into this deeper, and I put it in your hands to make a difference. Thank you.
Thank you. I had one quick question.
Good evening. My name is Amy Mangelli. I'm the proud parent of Angelina Mangelli. I'm here tonight to make you aware of some serious inequities in the Math 3 program at Cosumnes Oaks High School as it compares to other Math 3 programs district-wide. I'm asking for your help in adopting some common practices across the district. Despite all of Angelina's accolades, her grade the entire term she had Math 3 was an F, a first for her. We quickly got her a math tutor thinking she must be completely lost. As he worked with Angelina on her test corrections, we were pleasantly surprised to learn she knew and understood the Math 3 concepts. She was, however, a victim of a poorly designed program that is not, for even 1 second, student-centered. I have to wonder if a student earning a D or an F in Math 3 at CO is really the equivalent of something higher at another high school within the district. I have checked with 6 of the high schools in the district, and CO is the only school not awarding students with partial credit on tests. Of those 6 schools, CO is also the only one that does not allow students to check their work with a calculator. Also, at CO, an average assessment consists of 25 to 28 multi-step problems to complete in a timed environment. I have to question the validity of these assessments. While tending to precision is important, is that the most important? Is it more important than assessing if the required standards taught are understood? What are we measuring? Since September, I have met with the teacher, who is also the department head, her counselor, the vice principal, the principal, and Dr. Dixon. While my points were recognized and as valid concerns, I have been told this is the place to come if I want a difference to be made.
Please wrap up. Yep.
The program at CO continues to turn hardworking, college-bound individuals into victims of summer school. I had Angelina's tests regraded for partial credit because I wanted to see if it would make a difference. Partial credit is the difference between passing or not for students like Angelina. For example, her second test went from a 41% with no partial credit given to an 80%
You have to wrap
with
up,
partial
please.
credit given. Her grade in this class would have gone from a 59.6% to a 71.3%. There is an inequity in the rigor across the district. The students of CO should not have to pay the price for it.
Okay, the next is Emily Hooks, Carol Rogers, and Laureen Pryor.
Hi, I'm Emily Hooks. I have a 20-month-old and a 3-month-old at home, so they're not in the district yet, but I'm a planner, and so I picked our house based on the elementary school they're going to go to. And my favorite brother out of my 4 is gay. So my children will see that. I mean, they already do. My concern is the fact that they're talking about sexuality. And somebody said that, oh, they're not talking about it. They are. Somebody sent me a picture of one of the books, and it talks about Harvey Milk, and it says gay men are attracted to other men. So I'm not sure what the plan is if a 6-year-old asks, what does that mean? What is attraction? Are men supposed to be attracted to other men? What about ladies? And asking all these sexual questions. They're children. They don't need to be sexualized at such a young age. It's not appropriate. Like somebody was saying, it's taking away their innocence. Let them be kids. Let them figure it out on their own. And some of them do figure it out at a very young age. My brother said he figured out he was different when he was like 12 because he wasn't interested in girls the way my other brothers were. But that's something for them to figure out and not something for the school to push on them. And so I just really don't think that's appropriate. I understand it's already in place and nothing's really going to change. But I really hope you guys are listening to these comments and you take that into consideration versus half of the students of Elk Grove now trying to pay for private school. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I am Carol Rogers, a member of the Village A team volunteering at Casunas Oaks High School. I'm going to share 4 points: getting on campus, building relationships, observations, and next steps. Getting on campus involved a 3-month process. I had my fingerprints and a criminal background check done by the district headquarters back in August. Allegra Taylor and I met with Principal Maria Osborne sometime in October, early November, who suggested allying with an existing school club. This enables us to have a teacher to consult with as we volunteer on campus. I chose Action Civics Club, and I met with the teacher, Rachel Baird, before going on campus. In the meantime, I began greeting kids every morning as they arrived on campus. Now I also serve as a lunch monitor on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Building relationships with students starts every morning as I greet them. I am now getting responses from many of the students. I am also learning some of their names. In the morning and at lunch, I'm introducing myself to campus security, VPs, other staff, and students. At lunch, students gather in small to large groups. I see a lot of play fighting, which can turn into a serious fight. Adults move into those spaces to redirect students. Ms. Baird also arranged for Wolfpack TV to video me so that I could introduce myself to the students and teachers so they would know why I was on campus. I have met with the PBIS teacher team as of last week. My observations are that students in the morning are sleepy, depressed, energized, busy on cell phones or greeting friends. Many now look forward to seeing me and exchanging greetings. I observe many diverse groups of students at lunch, so the diversity of our schools is really visible to me at lunchtime and how they intermingle. I have observed VPs and campus security breaking up a serious fight. I observed teachers and VPs
Please wrap
dedicated
up.
to making change. I've learned that nasty remarks also on social media have caused many fights as well. Under next steps, work with the PBIS team to change OCI, offer the village resource of safe optional use space for students who need to de-stress, encourage activities which lift up students, especially African American students, rather than pushing them out. Thank you.
Good evening. Happy New Year to you all. First, I would like to just go back a little bit. You guys adopted a resolution for African American History Month. I would like you to, I identify as Black, so if we can do African American / Black, that'd be great, because I don't identify as a person from 2 continents. So I'm a little concerned about the article I read earlier today regarding the arrest for sexual misconduct over at Laguna, and how it was a volunteer with the math program, when I know that it took our folks several months to get on campus. I'm wondering if that process was followed in this case, or was this somebody who somebody knew and they decided to allow him to volunteer? I would like to also understand how he was immediately let go, which he should have been, and why the campus security guard who put his hands on that Black girl back a couple months ago in September, we have yet to know his status. And so I'm very concerned about how our girls are being treated on campuses and what steps are being followed in terms of how we're holding these males accountable. Who's protecting these girls? I see that there is counseling being made available, but why was he given the opportunity to sexually harass or have sexual contact with this student? I'm concerned about that. I'm listening to a lot of the debate that has gone forth so far, and I was hearing about the different resources that were given to the LGBT community. I want that same energy focused on your Black students who seem to be in a crisis in this district. Thank you.
Okay, Allegra Taylor, Gabriel Pingree, and Talissa Cole.
Hello there. So since we're talking about equity and volunteering on campus and who's been allowed to come on campus and who hasn't, I just want to make sure that you guys know that we are aware of the fact that there was a concentrated, deliberate effort to keep the Village Advocates and BYLP off campus. We know that the directions to limit our movement on campus came from this district. Maybe it was you. Not quite sure if it was the superintendent or who it was, but it came from the district. So now that we've managed to prove ourselves to be eligible to be on campus, we are hoping that you guys are not going to continue to try to limit our movement. I don't know what you're afraid of. We are really not your threat. We are your asset if you start seeing us as that. We are not here to fight against this district. We are here to make sure that you all are doing what is needed to be done to benefit Black youth in your district. With that said, you're always quick to help other groups, and we want to know, when are you going to put that same amount of effort towards the Black kids in your district? We know that you guys are making some efforts, some attempts. We know that there are some things being done, but it shouldn't take years to implement programs like PBIS. It should not take numerous years for things to be implemented that would make it a more fair field for our kids. The school-to-prison pipeline is still real. We know that some of those stats are down a little bit, but they're not down enough for Black children, and we want to see that in this district, and we want to see it this year. Not next year, but this year. So, once again, inform your principals, vice principals. We're not a threat. Open up the doors, let us in, stop limiting our access to the children.
Hi, Board. My name is Talisa Cole. I was here a few months ago to talk about my son who was attacked, kicked in the head repeatedly against a metal bar and the bicycle racks. My son, so you know, is still not back in school. His concussion has led him to miss all of this year so far. I'm here to find out why on your website it says Elk Grove Unified School District has a zero tolerance behavior that leads to serious physical injury. If this comes about, the child is to be recommended for expulsion. The child that hurt my son missed 5 days of school. He had vacation for 5 days and is still in school, but you want me to move my child to another school. I'm done. I I've filed a restraining order, which is being served this week, and I'm pulling a civil lawsuit. I have no energy or patience left for the Elk Grove School District, who cannot provide capable resources to protect our children, who is supposed to raise us later in life. They are going to be you later down the line. But when they've had their head bashed in, my son has dropped 2 grade levels. How do you expect him to have a right life? I've lost all my vacation. I've almost lost my job with the city because I don't have resources to sit home with my one son and still take care of my other 5 children. Why is this okay? Why are we not doing something? It's been months. My son went to school a week and a half, the first week and a half of school, and he has been not back since. Tell me why.
Okay, Dexter Poe and I think Ashley Lawrence. Come on, you can come on.
Board President Madison, members of the board, Superintendent Hoffman, and Ms. Alves. My name is Ashley Lawrence. I am a sophomore at Sheldon High School, and I am also the president of the Sheldon Gay Straight Alliance. I'm here tonight to have my voice heard and recognized. I believe we should include LGBT+ curriculum because we need to include every race, religion, ethnicity, and sexual orientation, because as a society, we are always moving forward. The year is 2019, and we're still having to talk about whether or not to exclude different people in our community because of our biases. We should be learning about everyone and not just majorities. We say our goal for students is to learn as much as possible, but we can't do that if we take out parts of history. I'm proud of our district for fighting for us and others. Thank you.
Mr. Madison, in all due respect, will take about 2 minutes and 45 seconds, as I thought I had 3. My comments are regarding the practices in your safety and security department. The solutions and the many changes in this district are facing are quite complex. The key is to success is leadership. The principles to overcome all these problems are quite basic. These principles are as elementary as ABC, 1, 2, 3. A, acknowledge there is a problem. B, be accountable, ownership of one's actions. C, corrections that are fair, honest, and above board. 1, do right by these kids. 2, do right by this community. 3, do right in the positions you have been entrusted. To whom much is given, much is required. These simple principles have been hard-pressed to find lately, but they are necessary and essential. Anything less than the ABCs and 1, 2, 3 are unacceptable. I will admit there have been some changes here lately. However, change without acknowledging the problem and being accountable for one's actions is simply a cover-up. It only breeds distrust and skepticism. Here's just a few examples of what I'm talking about. You had that Consumers Oaks girl arrested, put in jail, and slated for expulsion. Now, the change, she only faces school discipline. But the damage has been done. She has been permanently affected for the rest of her life. 2, this state's highest law enforcement authority, Department of Justice, has recently made inquiries regarding incidents on your campuses. Will you tell them the whole story? Should the public get a report? Will there be any accountability? 3, you own 4 vehicles, police vehicles, lights and sirens. Each vehicle probably costs easily $60,000 each, fully equipped. Nearly $250,000 spent on 4 cars. Yet you have not one officer qualified to operate them. Who approved such a purchase over educational tools for our kids? No accountability. 4, why did police services change to security services?
Please wrap up.
Why did they change their identity from a police agency to a security unit in 2016? It's because your department and your officers were out of conformance. But it was all done behind closed doors. This district recently hired its first African-American SRO in 12 years, but only after Pastor Chris confronted this district about it in early 2018.
Mr. Poe, wrap up, please.
I say no. I'm wrapping up. Lastly, on February 7th in 2018, while in full uniform and me working for this district, I got kicked off of Sheldon High School's campus. Correction made, yes, but 1 year later, no accountability and no acknowledgement of the problem. I have many more examples. The problem is systemic. Boards, you are the checks and balances to it all. The public needs answers. Please don't just say, thank you, Mr. Poe, and give no answers. We need answers. Board, staff, we need answers. ABC, 1, 2, 3.
Okay, we're going to move on to our consent agenda. And I'll have Ms. Albiani.
Hi. I'd like to call for a motion to approve items 1 through 20 on the consent agenda.
So moved.
Okay, it's been moved by, you seconded, Ms. Bobby C. Allen. Okay. Okay, so moved in second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, bargaining units. Any bargaining units like to come up? Okay. Okay, for the board, we're going to go ahead and start on our finance committee, appointing 3 new members. So we'll have a little dialogue here.
Can you pass those back, please?
Okay, if I can ask the board to get all their material together, we'll go through this right quick. Ms. Fortuna, we'll start off with you then.
Thank you.
Oh, no, I wasn't sure if we were taking a break or not, so I'm good to go ahead and roll.
Everybody good to go?
I'm good to go.
Okay, let's go.
Okay. I have 4 recommendations. Do you want 3?
Yeah, I want to probably keep it at.
Okay. Then my first one would be Monica Sharp. Monica is in the Adriani, Albiani, Pleasant Grove area. Second one, needs some help. S-A-H-A-J. What is that, Bobby? S-A. Come on. Okay. Singh, also out of the Adriani area. And the third one is Scott Sacramento, out of Markhofer, Kerr, and Elk Grove High School.
Excuse me, Carmine, Chet just asked me to keep track. Could you just read the names one more time for me,
Yes.
please?
Monica Sharp. Ms. Singh
There's more than one thing.
and Scott Sacramento.
There's more than one thing, so this one is.
Yeah, this one is S-A-H-A-J.
Thank you, Carmine.
Okay.
Okay. Charis Espinosa?
I have Igor Carrion, who is in the Folks Ranch Eddy area. Zenobia Nicholson, who is in Valley Union House. Marites Rivera, who is in Zender Ranch.
Do you want to do yours at the end, Chet?
No, I'll wait. Why don't you go ahead with yours?
Okay,
I'll have yours there.
I as well had Mr. Igor Carrion. I had Miss Kylie Kwok.
One more time.
Kylie, and it's K-W-O-K. I don't know the correct way to pronounce it, to be honest.
A-W-O-A.
K-W-O-K. Mr. Muhammad. Uh-huh, yes. Those were my 3.
Okay, Mr. Perez?
Is Ms. Rivera here, present? Okay. I'd like to make an announcement that I requested or spoke to Ms. Rivera, and to replace me, to represent me in the Finance Committee, and she accepted my request or proposal, number 1. Yes, but I just want to let you guys know that
Okay, what we'll do, we'll pass that on to the superintendent, but let's go to the ones now
Okay.
that we're trying to.
So the first one was Igor Caron. Second one was Augustine Chavez Jr. And the third one was Martin Gonzalez.
Thank you.
The 3 names that I had down was Igor Carrion, Augustine Chavez, and then Francis Parmley.
Okay, my 3 are Augustine Chavez Jr., Abdullah Muhammad, and Igor Carrion.
Can you got to slow down just a minute for me there, Bobby.
Igor or Igor,
Okay.
Augustine, and Abdullah.
Augustine's a first name. Oh, here we go. Okay, thank you.
Okay, I have mine, and I was looking at it from a standpoint, of looking at some of the zip codes all around. They were dominated by 2 zip codes.
That's fine.
So therefore, I had the one, Zenobia Nicholson in the Valley High region, Union House Elementary. Next one, Peter Suda in the Wilton,
I don't have that one.
in the Wilton area. And the last one was Sahab Singh, S-A-H-A-J, I think. Is that?
That's Carmen.
Fortuna, you had that one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Same
Sahaj
one,
Singh, you had the same
yeah,
one.
Okay, I had that one as well. Okay.
So, just to be clear, did I understand correctly that Marites Rivera is now out of consideration for the overall board slot because she's gotten a direct appointment by a member? Okay,
Yes.
just to be sure.
Would you like to change a person?
Yeah. No, I won't, because I think there are already a few that have gotten multiple votes. I don't think it'll make a difference. My person would be an individual that isn't gonna get the number of votes anyway.
I have a question, Mr. Madison?
Yes.
Could you give some additional information to the statement you made that your recommendations were based on looking at the zip codes on the at-large positions? What did you see when you looked at the zip codes of at-large?
What I was trying to look at is, I mean, a lot of these folks are well qualified. They've got positions, you know, in their education or their positions in their workforce. But I was looking more at the deep part of across the 360 square miles of representation to get an idea how they can really serve and be representative in certain communities, whether it's Wilton or you look at the Valley High region, where we hardly have any representation in that area, to bring them aboard to help some of these communities as a voice. That was my logic behind it in there.
And do we have a predominance of people on Finance Committee that are representative of the same area?
Can I comment to
Same
that?
zip code area?
Go ahead, comment.
I went to Shannon and asked for a list because once I hit school commitments, I also came down to about 8 people and was having a very hard time making a decision past that point. And I'm rifling through. She allowed me to have a list of who's on the current committee, and we did have a number of people in the 95624 area. And we had people, and so I as well made my decision based on.
What is 95624?
Elk Grove.
Okay.
My house.
The-
My house.
Okay, thank you.
So we had a number of them. We have, I don't know, you want to see this? You want me to read it? It was just, there was a dominating number from that from that area, and so I tried to go to a different area to try to broaden the representation as well.
I think we were trying to look at, and for me, to look at inclusion around. I served on the Finance Committee many, many years ago, and that's how we kind of looked at it in that vein
Right.
now, because you got a large district, but to zero in just, and I'm not picking on anybody, but to zero in on 2 zip codes primarily, 95624, 95758, or 57, that's what the predominant.
So a question, of the names that have the highest number of picks, do they add to the geographic diversity, or do you have a list perhaps of those? So will they enhance geographical
compare right
diversity,
now.
or will they be overlap? Of the ones that we have identified with the most votes or any votes?
Yeah, there were a couple that had 2 votes each. I think 3. 2 or 3 had 2 votes each.
Well, Beth is working on that. You know, we should also bear in mind that most of our population is in those zip codes as well. So we'll have to balance that with other kinds of diversity.
Okay, currently we come from 2 zip codes, 95624 and 95758. And we just did add Ms. Rivera, who's a 95757.
And those are
Tony
all
did.
pretty well Elk Grove proper. It
Yeah.
doesn't take into county, the city, or Wilton.
Lauren, 95828,
Rancho Cordova.
or your zip code.
823.
So looking at people with 2, can I?
Yeah.
Okay, looking at people with 2, we're in a 95758, 95757, 95823, and 95829.
It's well-rounded. Can you give us the names, Beth?
I'd be happy to. Mr. Chavez had 2. Mr. Muhammad had 2. Ms. Nicholson had 2. And Ms. Singh had 2. The first Singh on Lockridge Way.
This is Sahaj.
Sahaj.
I got Igor Carrion.
Oh, I'm sorry. Igor already had 4 votes. I didn't think that was on the discussion anymore.
Yeah, what is Igor's last name? I didn't pick up the last name.
Carrion.
What is it?
Carrion?
C-A-R-R-E-O-N.
That's okay.
The first one of the packet.
And I apologize. He had 4 votes, and I thought 4 out of 7, we didn't need to talk about it anymore.
What about Gonzalez?
1.
Solis has 1 vote and is in 95758.
Okay. Just to move this along, if it's okay with people, he wasn't my vote, but based on votes, I would move that Igor Carrion be appointed at a large to the board's finance committee.
Okay, it's been moved in second that Mr. Carrion be approved for one of the members. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
All right, now we need 2 more.
Good job.
And
Chavez had how many?
Chavez had 3. That was the next highest vote getter. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I missed a point here. I had a 2 next to him. That would be a 5758, which would make our 3rd 5758.
Big committee. Somebody want to move him? Who nominated him?
Mr. Madison had made a comment which I really think is noteworthy, and that is that the wisdom in having a representative for it'd be Wilton Sheldon area, which is a pretty big area that is not really represented, and I think we both had recommended Peter Suda there. Was it Peter? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Peter Suda for that Wilton area.
Well, I could say that for 95828. There's not one candidate from that area or Valley. How many from Valley?
Right now, I was just referencing the Wilton area. That's 95693 is the Wilton Sheldon area.
Maybe we ought to open it up again.
I haven't done anything.
I would be open to changing my vote to balance.
Then I'm going to make a second recommendation for Peter Suda for one of the 3 positions.
Who? Peter.
Peter Suda.
Well, what?
You can vote no.
There's a motion. You can move the next one, Tony. That was a motion, right?
That's a motion.
I'll second.
What about Chavez, though?
Okay, we
He
have,
has 3 votes already. How can he not
okay, we have a motion, and we got a second by
Second.
Nancy. So, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Mr. Perez opposed. Motion carried.
Okay,
Now we.
I call a vote for Mr. Chavez. He had 3 votes. He must.
Tell me,
Not enough.
what
He had
area?
more than the other guy.
What area is he in again?
He is 95758.
Sorry, what?
And
Three
that,
of us requested.
that would be our third person in 95758.
So I wrote down the schools, not the zip code, so I'm interested in Zenobia Nicholson, the Valley Union area, so what zip code is that? Valley Union House?
Yeah, it's a valley, it's a
So
95823.
nobody caught.
You didn't get a second.
95823 is the complete valley region in there.
Yeah. Okay. 95823, okay.
Nancy, what name are you looking at?
So are we now, point of clarification, are we now on the third? We are now on the third. Beth, I was asking about Zenobia Nicholson, who is in the Valley Union House area.
That had 2 nominations and is a new zip code to the group and to the area, which I would support.
In that case, I'll move Zenobia Nicholson for the third.
You didn't get a second. Didn't get a second.
And I think one of my.
I will say that Chavez was my topic.
Yes.
Okay.
You second?
For purposes of this discussion, I will.
I didn't hear a motion, I apologize.
Okay. So we have,
First and second for Chavez.
okay, all those in favor, Chavez?
Aye.
Opposed? I oppose.
Aye.
Where were you, Carmen?
Passes.
We need to do that one again. 'Cause
Okay,
Yeah.
let's go down.
Roll call.
Carmine?
Carmen, we're doing
Yeah,
roll call.
I was reading.
Can we have discussion before we vote?
Okay, discussion, go ahead.
While I am fully appreciate every single person who donated and put in their things, and I agree he is a top candidate, I do feel strongly about getting someone from a different area. And that'll be the basis of my vote, is trying to bring in someone from a completely different area of our region.
Any other discussions or thoughts on that?
You want, okay, so you have names? I'd be curious to know if it's one of my other ones, so, I mean, if you have
Oh.
names.
Oh, 2 people had Zebona Nicholson,
It's not on
Zenobia.
mine.
Zenobia Nicholson.
Zenobia Nicholson.
No.
What's her
Chet
background?
and Nancy had, if we want to take a moment to look that up.
Miss Nicholson is active in the PTO, and she's participated in the Family Leadership Academy. Valley and Union House.
Yeah, what is our gender makeup right now? We've just appointed quite a few men. I mean, if we want to balance it, you want to balance it in every way.
We don't know. We can't ask if they're male or female.
No, that's not on the
That's
application.
funny. Okay, touche.
These new rules or these requests, that should have been in some instructions earlier.
The instructions were that we brought forward 3 to 4 names, and we have a discussion. I think it's pretty clear. The problem that we have is we have a lot of great candidates, so it's a good problem.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
No, it's not. And again, all the candidates came forward, a lot of them are finance people from their jobs.
You have the sheet there. In terms of the at-large positions, is there anyone currently serving in an at-large position from the Valley High School region?
No.
No, okay. That's a pretty big region.
Yes, I would agree.
It's a huge region.
Yeah, so,
I think Tony's motion is still.
Yeah, I know his is, but they wanted some discussion on
To
it.
make sure we don't lose it.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to withdraw my second for purposes of this discussion to see if we can get a Valley representative.
Okay, any other thoughts on that? On the Valley region?
Do we have names?
I'd be happy to move Zenobia Nicholson from the Valley Union House area.
second.
Zenobia Nicholson? Okay.
Okay, those in favor of that?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried.
Okay.
That's our 3 then.
All right, congratulations.
So you recognize that I have mine, right? My appointment?
Taken care of.
Yeah, thanks.
It's a great choice because she's one of my former students.
Yeah, I like that. That's that point. Can you come up to introduce yourself, Mr. Rivera?
Yeah, might as well.
Oh, she's here. Very good.
Good evening, Board. My name is Marita Cervera, and Mr. Hoffman was my 10th grade world history teacher. way, way, way back when. But I thank you, and Board Member Perez, very great, nice to meet you, and nice speaking with you today. So thank you very much for having me.
Thank you.
I'm currently at the California Department of Education. I'm an education programs consultant in the Charter Schools Division. And prior to that, I served as an administrator, as a vice principal at a charter school in San Francisco before moving back to Elk Grove. But I did all my K-12 education here. I went to Prairie Elementary, James Rudder, and Valley High School.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good. Okay, we're going to move to the open enrollment. Bring on Mr. Craig Murray.
Thank you, President Madison, members of the board, Superintendent Hoffman, and Ms. Avalos. I'm here with Deputy Superintendent Rob Pierce to do our presentation on the 2019-2020 open enrollment, inter-district open enrollment. The topics of the presentation include the why, how, and what with the legal foundation for open enrollment, the methodology and planning considerations for the process, and the ultimate recommendations we will be asking for from the board. With the why and the legal foundation, under Board Policy 5116.1, the Board of Education annually identifies schools available for open enrollment and inter-district transfers. The Assembly Bill 1114 allows the board to limit open enrollment to schools that have space available based upon future student enrollment projections. And with the how, our department, along with facilities, determines capacity, long-term projections of enrollment. We have many different considerations for planning and decision-making, including how enrollments impact the quality of educational programming, all of our schools' projected enrollments, capacity for increased enrollments for multiple years, because we want to maintain a viable and stable enrollment at each of our schools. And we also want to make clear that we establish no more than 5% of any school students be allowed to transfer through this process.
Thank you, Mr. Murray. These next two slides are just simple tables of all of our secondary schools where we are combining or comparing, I should say, the capacities that we determine district-wide in a non-arbitrary fashion. We apply the same standards to all of the schools, but we compare that capacity to the 2019-20 projected enrollment, and that's prior to any decisions around open enrollment. We just look at all the students that we're projecting in that region. Really quickly here, you can see on the slide, in terms of middle schools, we have situations at both K. Albiani Middle School as well as Johnson Middle School, where the projected enrollment is either exceeding the available capacity or it's so close that if we were to allow open enrollment, we would rapidly exceed capacity. In terms of our high schools, a little more red on the screen, you can see the circumstance with Cosumnes Oaks High School. You will see 455 excess seats. Mr. Murray will go through a slide here in a minute, though, that over the course of time, in the 4 years that these students will be at Cosumnes Oaks High School, that we do have a long-term issue. That's both with regard to if you continue to allow open enrollment, but perhaps more pertinently is all the new development that's going to be happening in that area over time. You can see that at Franklin Elementary School, just the projected enrollment in that region exceeds the capacity by nearly 200 students. Monterey Trail is close at 91 students, and then Pleasant Grove well exceeding its capacity at 374 students.
So specifically for Albiani, we are recommending that it be closed to open enrollment. They are at capacity right now, and We've had to redirect students out of that school over the last year or two or more, and plan on doing the same. They have many homes that are coming into that area, so we'll need to maintain this process of closing them for open enrollment is our recommendation. For Pleasant Grove High School, the same area that's served. With build out, we know that the capacity of the school is far limited compared to what is there. We redirected, I believe, 190 students out of that school last year, so that will only continue to grow until other decisions made with either boundary changes or with a new school being made out in that area. With Toby Johnson Middle School, we recommend they be closed as well. They are at capacity or near capacity. If we allow the open enrollment process, they will exceed that. And while this area is built out, one of the positive trends in this area is that less students are opting to leave Toby Johnson, as with many of our schools, so that the enrollment has stabilized and remains strong at both that school and at Franklin High School. So the enrollment is still at capacity in both those schools, so open enrollment would increase that. With Cosumnes Oaks High School, the recommendation is we cap at 100 students. This allows us to have additional growth at the school, but also accommodate for long-term growth with new housing in the area. We have the capacity for these many students now. It's similar to the cap that we had last year without having to worry about having more than capacity as we move in the future. And same with Monterey Trail, it's a similar cap that we had last year. Between what they currently have and anticipated growth in this area, we believe we can accommodate 100, but we want to look at both Cosumnes Oaks and Monterey Trail next year annually to make sure that we stay within projections and don't exceed capacity. So to summarize, our recommendations, we would like to close Albiani, close Pleasant Grove, close Toby Johnson and Franklin as we have in the past, and then have the same 100 student caps for both Cosumnes Oaks and Monterey Trail High School. This is the timeline that we propose for the process, that we open the open enrollment process for January 22nd, go through the 31st, and then bring our recommendations back to the board in the February 19th meeting. There will also be a further board communication talking about the process in between there as we've done over the past couple of years. So we are requesting that you approve the list of schools available to accept open enrollment, approve open enrollment cap at Cosumnes Oaks and Monterey Trail High Schools, and approve the open enrollment timeline. At this time, if you have any questions.
Quick question. First of all, thank you for the presentation. Are we seeing a decline in requests from intra-district transfers because parents have concerns about their homeschool and things like that? I know that we've done a lot of outreach, but are we seeing a downward trend of those kind of misconceptions that are out there?
There was a board communication went out last February, and we're going to do another one this year. But the trend is down. Less students are opting for open enrollment options and are staying at their home schools. In almost every school, if there may be one or two that have a one-year blip. Right. But in general, the trend is more students are staying at their schools.
That's very encouraging to hear. So thank you, Communications, for working on that. It's great for stabilizing and building stronger communities when you're able to stay within your own. But I also, as a parent, I also appreciate what open enrollment offers, because there are wonderful career academies that we showcase every year. And if that opportunity exists for parents and students to observe, then I like that we offer that. So it's a good balance. Thank you.
Very thorough presentation. Thank you for it. I just hopeful to see with the new CTE academies and the programs that maybe some of the students are choosing to, and the parents, to stay within the community in their homeschool. So looking forward for the future updates as well. So thank you for the presentation.
Thank you. Very good presentation. You explained everything, and I don't have no questions.
I had 2 questions. Albiani will remain closed, so are 6th grade students, I get this question often, are 6th grade students in that area allowed to go? What is the cutoff we're doing? So like if you have a child in 4th grade right now, have you gotten a letter saying they will not be going to Albiani?
There is a letter that has gone out that's saying that you could be potentially redirected in part of that process, and they'll be notified as part of that process if that happens.
Is there an enrollment date we are tied to? How is it determined?
You know, I'll have to get back to you. I'm not sure the redirect process.
Yeah, it will vary year to year depending on the numbers and what they're looking like.
Okay.
Historically, it's been a move-in date, and it
Okay.
typically hasn't been existing students at a feeder elementary school. But I know Mr. Murray and his staff will look at those numbers and make a decision that if we have to look back to kids that are in feeder schools, but typically it's people moving into the area.
So it's your entrance into EGUSD?
Typically, yes.
That area?
Yep.
Okay. Second thing, on slide 12, it's getting an old thing.
Yes.
At Monterey Trails, you're capping at 100, and then if I read it correctly, we're anticipating an enrollment of 75 over that in 2021?
So the point of this slide too was to share that if you cap it at 100 this year,
Mhm.
and then say to close it, that's the first row, it shows you where you would stand in 1920 and where you'd stand then 4 years later in 22-23 when all those students matriculate in and we accept new enrollment due to growth. So they would still have space, right?
Okay.
The next row, you cap it at 100 this year, and you also cap it at 100 next year.
Okay.
And based on projections, they're going to
All right,
exceed
my bad for not
capacity.
reading the
So
slide wrong.
This is just to make the point that we have to look at this every year, and
Yeah.
we can't just make a wholesale decision.
My error in reading it. Thank you. And huge fan of open enrollment. I've got 3 children on it. Thank you very much.
Ms. Charis Espinoza?
Well, my apologies for having to step out, but no questions.
Mr. Fortuna?
I have a couple. Given that it's common knowledge that not all parents are truthful, which results in certain schools being impacted because parents lie to get their kids into those schools, do the parents that unfortunately get redirected as a result of the lack of truthfulness on the part of some parents, do they get first choice with respect to where they get offloaded? If my child can't go to Albiani, do I get a first choice where they go?
Typically, for that boundary, we'd have a cutoff between Kerr and Elk Grove and Smedberg and Sheldon. It just depends on where you live in the Albiani, Pleasant Grove region.
Yeah, I know we can't play cop, but one day it would sure be nice to resolve that issue since we do open enrollment. And then the second point, I just want to make a point, and I discussed this today with Chris, and I know we're all on the same page, but you know, people see paper and make assumptions based on paper. And based on paper, you know, Sheldon can go to 3,100 kids. We all know what a nightmare it was when Sheldon was at 3,000 kids. And we would hope, even though it's in print, that there's the recognition that that's not a supportable number.
Yeah, and some of this, that's a great point, Mr. Fortuna. Some of this stems back to a time when this room would have been full during the open enrollment discussion. And we had to go to a point to where, regardless of what the board wanted to set the capacities at, the law said you have to state the capacity as it physically is today. But I agree, and we've made that determination in our master plan that we have an optimal size at our high schools. And we can certainly work through Measure M to bring those schools down to that optimal size.
Thank you.
Okay, I just got a few questions or comments. Just to tag on to Mr. Fortuna, what he indicated on particularly slide 6, it's really deceiving. You know, you look at the capacity of these schools, and yeah, Sheldon is absurd when it's 3,100. I was around when that school was a nightmare. It was terrible. And my point leading to that is that at one point as a board, we always wanted around 2,000, 2,100 at our high schools because it's manageable. A lot of these schools, you get to the point it's so heavily populated, you don't control them very well, and we're seeing some of that right now. So when I look at capacities in there, and to me, it's a deceiving number where you look at it. If we're going to really teach, control, have security, we need to stay at a certain level with our schools, particularly in the future. Look at Monterey Trail. I can't help to look at that school. How much are they ciphering from Florence High School? I mean, it's a fact. You know, they're at 2,300, and then we look at Florence High School at 1,600. Some change. I don't know how it's going to be affected this year, and it really concerns me a lot when we look at this. So I know we're very conscious of it as a district, as a board, of what's going on, but we have to be mindful, I think, Mr. Murray, when you indicated, you know, the boundary changes, building the new high schools, to me, that's out of question. We got a lot of excess capacity in this district. So we better be mindful of that as we move forward of filling these schools up and not asking for more money or going in more debt for a new high school. We're currently transporting from Marietta, the Rancho Cordova area, right over Florence High School, all the way to Albion, past Sheldon High School. Something we need to think about as we move forward. So I just want to bring you conscious of that. And I do support that we keep it around 100, what we're going to do with this. And CO's another one. Hopefully that school will get to the point where it's supported by its community there, and we stop drawing from all over the district in that school. That's some of our issues we have in there. I support the open enrollment to the point that when we have a lot of opportunities and classes and careers, I believe in kids should be able to do that. But to falsify addresses, just to move over, it's a new school, we got to kick grips on that. Okay. Yes.
I have another question. In terms of the legal foundation, we have both our board policy, which says that, you know, annually we'll identify the schools, and Assembly Bill 1114, which says that we can limit open enrollment to schools that have space. Can we not offer open enrollment at a school that has space? Is that our prerogative? And I'll give you the example too. Given all the problems, and it doesn't matter the why. Given all the problems we've had at CO, can we just say CO's closed? We're not going to add another kid to CO.
So Mr. Fortino, just on that kind of a statement, that I don't know if you mean it to be this way, but I just don't want open enrollment students to be the assumption that they are the cause of any issues out there.
I said it didn't matter the reason.
Okay, because they can.
What I'm saying is, if as you know, it's a given that as schools grow, that can be a contributing factor to issues that arise at a school. And if that's true, do we have a prerogative, at least in the short term, to say, you know what, we want to put it on the closed list, and we'll take a look at it next year.
A couple issues. So you can't. So if you have capacity, closing it is a problem unless you can show another reason for it. The other reality is a number of the kids that are choosing to go to Cosumnes Oaks now are from Franklin. So if you closed it, there would be a backlog of kids at Franklin at a school that's already very large as well.
Right. Yeah, I think I would say there's quite a few that comes from the Franklin region into CO right now.
That number has decreased from 154 2 years ago to I believe it was 89 last year. So the number's decreasing, going from Franklin requesting to CO in particular, which is in line with the other decrease of requests district-wide.
Good. Okay. So as long as we're all conscious of this and we're aware of it, where our schools are going, because we're going to get ourselves in trouble, in my opinion, when we look at these under capacity schools, and then we're reaching out to get more money or bonds, and at some point, as one board member here, I've gone through many boundary changes, and nobody likes them. They're hard, but the fact of the matter is it might have to come about, okay? Yeah, thank you. Okay, with that, I'll call for a motion to approve the recommendations for the 2018-20 open enrollment.
I move approval of the recommendations that have been submitted to the board.
I'll second.
It's been moved in second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, we'll have Mr., where did Rob go? Oh, he's right there.
Can't hide
Okay.
from us.
Resolution authorizing the execution of delivery of the site lease.
Thank you again, President Madison, members of the board, Superintendent Hoffman, and Ms. Avalos. I do want to say the next two items are exciting in my world. I know these are the technicalities, so I don't want to bore anybody with the details. I do want to thank a few people, though, who have brought this all to fruition. It's been a lot of work on a lot of parties' behalf. My staff, Ms. Hayes, Susan Bell in facilities, Kim Williams in facilities, Eric Wally in facilities, and of course our bond counsel, Lozano Smith, and our financial advisors at Government Financial Strategies. Both of these items that are coming before you, this one and the one following, are follow-ups to the detailed presentations that we gave at the December 11th, 2018 meeting. And these are just the formalities and the actions that need to take place to allow these financings to happen. With regard to the first financing, the lease finance, I do want to mention for the board and for the members of the public, we're very cautious in the standards that we apply when we consider financing tools to generate dollars for priority projects. In this case, this is the tool that I referred to for the board so that we could build the new Franklin Elementary School. And I bring that all up because I would be remiss if I didn't mention this is only necessary due to the lack of funding from the state of California from the passage of Proposition 51. So we hope to get the funding. We will get the funding. It won't come anytime sooner than 2022, and it could come as late as 2023. Ironically, we're in the cutoff to get funded for this project, but we have to wait until the state sells bonds. We know the governor has tripled the size of the bond sale for the 1920 fiscal year, but it's still not the relief that we would like to see and has been in place for the last 20 plus years. So I just bring that up, that's what makes this necessary, and we don't do this lightly, and that we will serve the debt on this financing through our excess tax in our Melrose district. The resolution before you simply authorizes the lease financing that Ms. Ranieri and I have been presenting to the board. It sets the maximum principal amount of the financing at $13 million. I will tell you that it's going to be less than that. It's going to be more like $12 million. It sets the term of the financing at 21 years and a maximum true interest cost of 6%. I can tell you that we've already conducted a very competitive bidding process with lenders, and the interest rate is more in line with 3.5%, so nowhere near that 6% maximum. It's written in this way because it won't officially close until February 5th, but we were excited with the level of proposals that we received and the interest rates that we received. So happy to answer any questions. We provided a memo to you as well outlining the forms that are attached to the resolution. Those are all in draft form. The resolution also authorizes myself and Mr. Hoffman to finalize the form of those once the deal is actually closed on February 5th. So happy to answer any questions, and we will be back before you at your second board meeting in February to give you a detailed presentation on the final results of this financing.
Okay, are there any questions from any board members? Okay. We'll go ahead on the first one then and ask for a motion to approve Resolution 37, authorizing the execution and delivery of site lease, a lease agreement, assignment agreement, and authorizing the execution of necessary documents and certificates and related action.
Thank you. It's a lot.
I'll second.
Sandy, I'm sorry. Oh, okay, he was premature. Okay, it's been moved in second. Those in favor?
Aye.
We need opposed? Motion carried. Okay, and a series 2019 bonds.
Okay, so this is the second follow-up item. This is with respect to Measure M having been passed by the electorate, giving the board the authority to issue up to $476 million in bonds. You've had an initial series in 2017 of $82.1 million. The resolution before the board tonight, consistent with our master plan as well as our original bond plan, would be allowing the district to issue another series, referred to as the 2019 series, not to exceed $121 million. It sets a maximum interest rate, again, at 6%. We don't anticipate it being anywhere near that. And it also sets the maximum compensation that an underwriter may earn under the deal. The resolution also requests the county to levy the taxes in order to pay the debt service on the bonds. It prescribes terms and conditions of the bonds, including payment dates, the method of interest calculation, the bond redemption procedures, and importantly, it identifies Lozano Smith as bond counsel and government financial strategies as our financial advisor for the bond sale. It also approves the form of a multitude of documents, again in your packet, and they were summarized in a memo for the board and the public in the packet. And again, it authorizes Mr. Hoffman and myself to finalize these documents, which will all happen on February 5th when we have a successful bond sale. So exciting, moving on to the second of 5 phases of Measure M. Our original bond plan did not include a bond series in 2019 nearing this magnitude, the $121 million. The reason we're able to do that is our assessed value far exceeded expectations in our original bond plan. So that's a very good thing. So I'll be back before you again in February to report the final bond sale and hopefully share some really good news with the board and the public. So again, happy to answer any questions and would ask that you approve the resolution and associated forms.
Any questions from the board? Okay, I'll call for a motion to approve resolution number 36, providing the issuance of the Series 2019 bonds and delivery of related bond and disclosure documents.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved in second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, call for the members of the board and superintendent and reports, since we've been off, a little bit of...
No committee reports?
None here?
No.
We'll start cranking up again here shortly.
I do have items from the floor.
Oh, you do? I'm sorry, go ahead, Ms.
No, I don't have a report, but items from the floor. I was already on.
Oh, okay, yeah. You passed now.
I heard everybody said no.
Okay, we'll move next items on the floor, other items on the floor. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Madison. Let's see, so last night I had the pleasure and honor of presenting to the Stonewall Democratic Club to provide an update regarding our K-8 history and social science instructional materials, the sort of the timeline and the process. And I want to very clearly, as one board member, state very loudly and proudly that I am a proud partner and ally and advocate of the LGBT community. It's very painful to hear some of the comments because there's just so many misconceptions and untruths. And as a board, as a school district, I would love to see us provide additional information and resources. I think we've done a pretty good job navigating through the process, but I think that there's still a lot of uncertainty. I do feel a lot of the comments, some, however, obscene, they're simply not true. And so when left there, unchallenged, I know that it's very easy to accept. So I'm not addressing any one particular comment, but I know that there were a lot of misstatements of what is accessible in terms of our curriculum proposals. I have a niece who's gay. And when I think of children, I think of all children with that equity lens. Every child has the right to see themselves in the curriculum. It is a matter of equity. It wasn't that long ago when we didn't see Sikhs in curriculum and Muslims, and there were biases that still floated that assumed that perhaps we are the Taliban or Islamic terrorists. It is incumbent upon educators to provide education. It is what the key to addressing ignorance and hate. And I'm not saying all of the anti-comments regarding the curriculum proposals are centered in hate, but I do think that a lot of them are misguided, and a lot of them just don't have the information, and I challenge that a lot of them perhaps even haven't bothered to read the proposals. Because a lot of the comments, they just simply are not true. And I want every child to know that there is, and I know that there's more than one, but I am a very proud ally and a very proud advocate. I'm here to speak for my niece, who didn't see herself in curriculum. She had a very hard time growing up. It wasn't until her early 20s that she really fully accepted who she was. I remember being there in those critical years when there was a lot of anger and lashing out. These kids are suffering. They're not any different than a black kid, an Indian kid, a Native American kid. They are kids. They are members of our community. This isn't sex education. These are groups of human beings. It's about humanity. So I wanted to update the board on my presentation to provide a clarity to an ally that is in need of support. And I also challenge us as our school district to provide greater understanding and clarity of the misconceptions. Not so much a rebuttal on every statement, but there's a common theme that I have seen from the last board meeting to this board meeting. And just some basic fact sheet, I think, would go a long way. For those that have made up their mind and will never change their mind, that's okay too. I respect everyone's opinion, but I'm a proud ally, and I will always continue to be. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bobby Singala. Crystal, do you have any comment?
I would just like to thank her because I appreciate the comments, being in the field of education and working in higher education. And we have a very diverse community at the college campus that I work, and it's respecting each other's differences and making sure that we have a curriculum that's reflective of that. Being from the American Indian community, when we talked about gay, bisexual, we'd often talk about in some of the research works, the early research works, two-spirit. And so to walk in two different worlds, but also referencing the sexuality of a person. So I appreciate all the comments that were held tonight, and you know, it just makes me reflect back on even the college teachings and being able to teach our young children at an age acceptance of each other and being fair of each other's differences, but respecting that. So those comments go a long way, and I appreciate that tonight.
Thank you.
I'm also a supporter of the Stonewall Foundation of Greater Sacramento, and also past supporter when I was a member of the Sacramento County Democratic Central Committee. I have long history working with them and supported them since my education throughout California. And I also support them empowering LGBTQ youth throughout Sacramento County, but also throughout California. And that's a group of students that, you know, need help, and we should support them 100%.
Any comments?
I'd like to point out a couple of really moving or thought-provoking or deep statements that we heard today that are going to stay with me, so I wrote them down. During public comment, one person said, courage is so rarely simple or easy. I thought that was really both simple and powerful. Someone else told us the stories we tell in history are always unfinished. And both of those I wrote down. because they're going to stay with me, and I think they will guide my thinking and hopefully our decisions as we look at the social studies curriculum adoption. I conceive of my job as a school board member to be advocacy for children, and that means more advocacy for the kids that need greater advocacy. So that is certainly going to color my decision-making on my review of any curriculum adoption, and I look forward to us actually having that before us. Thank you.
Okay. By the time we meet again as a board, our family will have had a memorial for Susie. And I mentioned one time before, but I just wanted to mention again that the last couple of years have been really hard for me, as both we dealt with Susie's cancer and my cancer. And I received a lot of support from staff, from board members, but really do want to acknowledge the support that I received both from Chris and from Nancy when she sat as president. It's been a hard time. The Christmas was a hard time, and all of us are looking forward to Susie's memorial, not just from the perspective of having the memorial, but also kind of bringing some closure for us, because until we have it, it all stays alive. And I just wanted to say thank you to everyone.
Thank you, Mr. Forcina, and our hearts go out to you and the family as you went through that. It's very, very difficult. Just a couple of comments that I just want to make and follow up on some of the board members have made about tonight's public comments. You know, I reflect back at my age and being a minority, I can really attest the hate and the discrimination that I personally went through, and the bias in the public education system at that time when I was a kid, not knowing nothing about your heritage, wasn't taught. So we're mindful of that now, and we have to be conscious of it and move forward with it. So I think we're heading in the right direction. I saw some of the tweaks that was done on some of the books that are coming out. So we'll look to see more, maybe a little bit more tweaking in it a little bit, but I'm a firm support of it as well as Bobby Singh Allen. So I just want to bring that up as well too. And then lastly, my fellow board members, we talked about committees. Did you get your information on the committees? Can we make comments on that tonight? Some of it, I have copies here if you don't, if you need a copy.
PC number 112.
Anybody else need a copy? Okay, now we went down the list. You've seen it all. I don't want to just belabor it all night, but if you don't want to be on a certain committee at this time, or you want to go to another one, let's talk about it now. Are there somebody that wants to be on the Link Learning Committee, the advisory committee? I can relinquish myself on that if you want.
So can I know that there's because I serve on a lot of committees, so I would also like to consider not returning for the FACE, not because, and it's for no other reason other than I'm overly committed. And the Link Learning, because I already serve on a number of others that I want to happily continue. But I would like to relinquish FACE and Link Learning to see if there are others that are interested, or at least have another board member be assigned so that if one can't attend, then perhaps the other can.
Right, and I just want to mention that we should take this serious. If we're on a committee, we need to follow up, we need to attend the meetings, okay? So I want to bring that up. So, Bobby, your point is well taken, as well as I mentioned too that I'm on quite a few. So are there anybody that would consider the CTE Advisory Committee? Okay. That one, Crystal?
That's the career tech. Yep.
Where's that? I don't see the page.
But it's not on here.
What do I can't find it?
Moody, you could take note on that too a little bit. Okay. Anybody else now would like to give that a shot a little bit? I think it's very interesting, very educational.
I'd be happy to do that. And I'd also be interested in being on the FACE steering committee if there is not another person.
Face steering committee.
Yes.
Okay.
And I would be interested in giving up my seat on the architect committee.
Okay. So we move Beth off that, and we'll put Carmine on the...
Very first one.
First one. That's the first one. Carmine will go in place of Beth on that.
Yeah, I enjoy spending time with Rob.
Okay, the FACE committee. Okay. Okay, Beth is going to go on the FACE committee, okay.
Did anybody else want to be on it, or? I'm happy to not be on it. If someone else is interested.
Anybody else interested in that one?
I think Beth offered to replace you, if I understood correctly.
Because is it only allotted for one board member? I don't know.
Some of them, they'd ask, some of them just ask
Okay,
for one.
perfect, then I'm out.
Taken care of.
No offense to this committee, I love you.
Okay. We have the Finance Committee, myself, Ms. Fortina's on it, and Ms. Albiani.
I would like off the finance committee, please.
You would like off?
Yes.
Okay. Carmine, you want to stay?
I've taken 2.
And I'll stay too. So who wants to take Ms. Albiani's place? Anybody on the Finance Committee?
Does it require a third?
No?
No.
Okay.
It also comes here.
Yeah, we've got 2. That's good. Okay, Head Start, Parent Policy Committee, Mr. Perez, have you attended meetings? Are you attending meetings?
Are we attending meetings? This is the first time I've ever been on this.
Huh? You didn't know you were on it?
No.
Okay. Well, can you help and reach out to the people that are, would you? Okay. All right, you'll be contacted.
Does that include early childhood education also? The new...
That's Head Start. That's all under that program. Yeah.
Well, I mean, the one that Governor Newsom...
Well, but his is new coming out. We don't know a lot yet. He wants to change a lot. Well, yeah.
No, Head Start is one federal program.
Head Start's own entity.
Right.
Well, I like to incorporate that.
You can.
Why not?
Because Head Start is.
It's Head Start, but yeah.
Right.
Well, it's
Who's gonna be
a
on the
federal
committee?
program administered through an agency, and we participate in it, but you're not gonna take a federal program and impose, no one can take the federal program and impose their desires on it.
Okay.
I will tell you,
It's
if there's a need for an additional committee, what we've gone through is work through with cabinet and identified where we needed board members to be participants. If through this budget cycle, something comes up in early ed that we think is necessary, then we can create a new committee, but it wouldn't be this one.
Then if you're going to talk about federal programs, why don't I like to include Title I?
This is for one program.
Yeah, that's, Title I's totally different from this.
Why not? I can handle that too. Okay, we'll make another committee and have it call it Title I.
So all we need to know right now is if you want to remain here.
Okay, you still want to be on?
Okay.
Okay, and you'll make sure that he,
Committee for Title I?
okay.
All right now.
We'll be in contact with you.
Are we going to develop a committee for Title I?
Nope.
Then Chet, I also, and I don't know if it needs to go here, but maybe just, I kind of laughed when I looked at that list because my name only showed up twice, but I also sit on 2 steering committees, both for Elk Grove High School and for Sheldon High School, for their FFA programs.
Well, those at the...
What I'm saying is I do a little bit more than
I'm sure,
just
yeah.
the 2. And I don't know if those need to be, the steering committees need to be on those committees.
They're not
board
They're,
committees.
no, they're school levels
Yeah,
here.
okay.
And that's right. I mean, it's a good point you bring it up because a lot of us are involved in a lot of other things as well too that's not listed on this list here. So want to be mindful of that as well, too. What's Link Learning Brand Task Force?
Defunct, so we can skip that one.
So that's gone. And in the Wellness Advisory, Dr. Crystal Martinez-Leary's on that one.
I'll be on that one, too.
Are you still, have you attended any meetings, Crystal, on that one?
I have not, because sometimes I know meetings conflict with my different schedule I have, but if I can stay in the loop with the committee, at least like maybe, yeah, both.
So Tony.
That would be
Mr. Perez
helpful.
will be on that one.
So how often will you meet?
We'll get you that information.
Okay. And then the last one, Partners in Education, Ms. Bobby Singh Allen's on that one. You're staying on that, okay. One is sufficient?
Pardon?
One board member is sufficient?
As far as I know, I mean, there hasn't, it's never been brought up that to have an additional.
I was going to ask about that, because I know this group has been working together for a very long time, but is there opportunity for another board member to join? There are two from each.
Bargaining unit, so why not 2 board members?
If you want, are you interested?
I'd be interested.
Okay, we'll put you down for that.
We meet tomorrow. Make sure your mic's on.
Okay. Then we have the CCSD Committee, Community Service District, Consumers. Nancy's on that one, Ms. Perez is on it. Is that, have you attended those meetings? Mr.
Yeah, we're
Perez?
pretty good at meeting regularly.
No.
No?
I just read it. I just read what.
So you haven't gone, you haven't,
Minutes on their website, that's it.
so you don't go to their meeting?
No, I have never been invited.
Do you want to be on it? Are you going to participate, or you rather just read it? You can just read it online. What do you want to do?
No interest on that one.
Okay, we'll remove Mr. Perez for that. Would you like? Okay. Okay. Okay, Miss Bobby Singh Allen on that one. Okay, City of Elk Grove 2x2s, you got Miss Singh Allen and Miss Charis Espinoza. Is that good?
You're on all those.
I'm good, but I'm open. I'm willing to stay? Yeah, I'm willing to stay, but if someone else really wants to be on there, I'm open to that too.
Who would like?
If you don't have anything invested, I'd go on to Elk Grove.
I'd go either way. I'm happy to rotate out.
Okay, so Ms. Fortina, you'll be on that one then? Okay. Okay, then the City of Sacramento. Yeah, yeah, we're trying to get the City of Sacramento together. I'll stay on that. I don't know, Bobby, if you want to stay on it.
I'd like to be on that one.
Well, it's 2. It only can be 2. Yeah, we can only buy 2s on that. So it'll be myself and Ms. Singh Allen. Okay, City of Rancho Cordova, we got Mr. Fortuna and Ms. Bobby Singh Allen. Does somebody want? Okay, who would like to go on that one, the Rancho Cordova? Any takers on that?
You know, I'll tell you what, of all the things I do, that's probably the most enjoyable. The district in Rancho Cordova 2x2 because of the multiple topics we always have for discussion, and Rancho Cordova always comes prepared.
Oh, your mic.
Oh. Rancho Cordova always comes prepared. It's a good group.
The few times I have attended, it is absolutely fantastic. Just a lot of the meetings are in the morning, and it's next to impossible for me to get there from the other side of town. Just
Are they
geographically, it's very challenging. It's like an hour commitment.
What time is the meeting, Ms. Fortuna?
Well, we
A
have
lot of them are in the mornings, not always.
We also have afternoons.
Yeah.
It just depends.
And we
with
rotate,
the
we ask
schedules.
for times and schedules.
Yeah.
We try to get, of the, 6 people that are generally there, we try to
Try to
find
line the
something that
calendars
works.
up.
I mean, if no one else is willing to, I'll stay on, but I'm just as well not be on it.
Yeah, it's just got a lot.
Yeah, I'll do it if you want. I mean, if Bobby, you think you don't.
Please,
want-
take it.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Okay, I think
How
that,
come we don't meet with the supervisors, county supervisors?
They don't have anything directly to do with education. We have the County Office of Education representative.
We have a good ally there, Mr. Natoli. Mr. Natoli.
What about Mr. Kennedy?
And Kennedy.
What about Mr. Kennedy?
We have
So
both of
don't
those
meet
two
with them?
guys. No.
2 by 2s?
We have not.
Useless SOB.
They're really pro-education.
Aren't those other 2 people here pro-education?
Well, we haven't got with the county.
Well, okay, I will continue.
Okay, I will declare the meeting adjourned then.